welcome back to my channel. I'm Anita. Today I'm working on story 8 in my December Daily 2021 album. My husband's birthday is December 8th, so his birthday layout is always included in my December Daily albums. This year I decided I would make an 8 out of the wreaths. This is a digital file from the 2021 main kit. It was a physical product, obviously. In the physical product, all of these, like wherever it is tan or brown, would have been gold foil. It is possible to do that from a digital file. You'll notice in Photoshop, I do talk about it a bit, but I don't think I made a lot of sense when I was talking about it. So in the digital file, there's two versions. There's this version, which is the gold foil version. I tilt it around, hoping that maybe you can see the color variations in there. There's a really light tan all the way to a darker brown. And when you print it out, it doesn't shimmer, obviously, but it gives the illusion that there's different colors in there and that it might be shiny. The other file is this one. It's a bit darker, and those uh, tan and brown are all one flat goldish color. Hopefully you can see that. I'll put them side by side. So see the difference a little bit, hopefully. So if you wanted to do gold foil, you would choose that second version, the one with the flat color. There's two different options. You can use well, there's probably more than two, but the two I use are the foil quill um, for my silhouette and or my mink machine. So to do it with the silhouette, um, you would need to isolate all that brown in here, change it to black, and you're going to only foil the black parts. The same with the mink, you would isolate it, turn it black, those brown bits, and then you would send it through your laser printer. It will not work with an inkjet printer. It would have to be a laser printer. Then you're able to run it through the mink with your foil of choice, and it will add the foil. It adheres to the laser print. Um, I may not have explained that very well again, but someday I will do something with foil and I will add the process on here. So yeah, the other thing, halfway through working in Photoshop, I changed my mind about the way I was doing the file to send to the silhouette and made it a little more simple. So you're going to see me bring in 3 wreaths and get rid of the words in one of them. You don't need to do that. You only need the 2 wreaths. You need one for the bottom, and then because I'm choosing to use the one with the quote, that's all you need. You can get rid of the words, you can do the flips and all that stuff in the Silhouette program. So just ignore that. It's all good. And yeah, so it's a shaker on the bottom. This is just a page protector. And I use the page protector as my little tabs to put it into my album. And then it flips over with my journaling on the back, and it will pair with the 8 like this. So with that, let's jump right in. Okay, I'm going to start this layout in Photoshop Elements. I'm running PSE 2025. So I've already opened my canvas. It's sized at 7 by 8.25, which is outside the page protector for size for a 6 by 8 album. I'm just going to turn on my background layer there so you can see better. So I've added some guidelines to where the page protector holes are on the page protector. and added the holes so that I can place my wreaths exactly where I want them to make that 8. You'll see later I'm going to adhere the wreaths down on to the page protector, but I don't want a lot of the page protector showing, so this is how I'm going to hopefully get it lined up properly. It's my hope anyway. I'll leave the white on. I think you'll be able to see better and I can take it off after. So the first thing we're going to do is open our wreaths. I've already got them open here. I have this blank one and I also have the one with the quote. The wreaths themselves are the same. These are the gold foil ones. There's also an option for non-gold foil. Typically, something like this, I would add gold to it, but it's more fussy than I want to do for this particular album. I'm trying to get it done quick and easy, so we're just gonna use it as is. But I liked the variation in color in this one. That's the gold foil. So the first thing we're gonna do, we'll start with this one since we have it open, is get rid of the white backgrounds from here. So down here, I have my magic wand tool selected and I have it on add and the tolerance is up a bit. I might have to fiddle with that, but it should be okay. And I have anti-aliasing and contiguous selected. I'm just going to go up here and select the white on the outside, and then I'm going to select the white on the inside, and I'm going to hit delete and Command D to get rid of the marching ants. Sorry if you are a Windows user, I don't know what the command shortcuts are for that. So now we've got our wreath with no white background. You will notice, I'll zoom in a bit so you can see, there is a little bit of white on the inside of the wreath. But when I cut this in Silhouette, I'm doing it as a kind of a die cut sticker almost. So there will be a white border around so that and the middle will be white. So I'm not worried about the white that's inside. Now, if you were cutting it and you wanted this all cut out so that there was nothing in there, then you would take out that white as well. But for our purposes, we don't need to do that. So that one's good. I'm going to go back to my photo bin and choose the next one. And same thing, we're going to hit our magic wand tool and add. And we're going to make sure our layer is selected. And we're going to hit delete. Here we go. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to bring in our bottom portion. We're going to bring in our top portion. So I'm going to bring, this is my bottom part. This one is my quote one with the words. This one's my quote one without the words. Oops. We don't really need the background and it will move around because I have the layer unlocked, but just to make it easier to see. I'm just gonna double check that my wreaths are lined up and they are. So the next thing I'm gonna do is bring this one up. So right now the wreaths are exactly alike. They're the same size, they're oriented the same way. Um, and I don't really want them to look exactly alike. So the first thing I'm gonna do is click and drag this bottom one out just a little bit, just to make it a little larger, center it a little better. And then I'm going to we're going to commit those changes. And then I'm going to take this little corner here and just drag out until that angled arrow comes out. And then I'm able to click and pull, and I can rotate my wreath. You can also use the your arrow keys once you've clicked on it. So all I want to do is turn this around so that it's kind of straight meshed in the middle and that I have some branches sticking out to the left. I You'll see why here in a sec. I'm gonna pull this down just a little bit. I think I like that. So we're going to commit those changes just like so. And then I'm going to click. I'm going to get rid of this background because it keeps selecting that. So I'm going to click at the top and drag down. And you'll notice all three of my wreaths are selected, which is what I want. I'm going to click and drag them up to the top, very, very top. And then I'm going to take this bounding box down here, and I'm just going to click and drag to make them fit the whole page protector. So that's done. I'm going to commit those changes. And then I'm going to line up this side. So I'm just going to push this all over. Now, this one's good or almost good. I'm just going to click off so nothing is selected right now. I want just this bottom one for now. And I'm going to make it just a little bit smaller, not too much, just so I can bring it down just a little bit. And then over. So that you'll see right here, I have just a little bit of the branches sticking into where the holes are going to be on the page protector and still within the size of the page. And then I'm going to click off of that and I'm going to select both of these wreaths at the top. I'm just going to push those over to the side a bit. And we'll make those just a little bit smaller, I think. Yeah, right about there. This is a bit of fussing, but it's okay. Okay, right about there. Now, my 8 is a bit crooked at this point, so I'm going to take this one again, even though I had it where I wanted it. I'm going to just rotate it just a little bit more. Okay, right there. Let's try that. That doesn't look too bad, but not exactly where I had it before. Just keep rotating. Sorry, I'm being a little too picky now. Make this one just a little bigger because, oops, I'm only on one though. Let's make sure I got both. Just go make it a little larger. There we go. All right. That's not too bad. It looks like it 8. I've got some branches on both near the holes. And then same down here. I think it's fairly straight. It looks a little lopsided. I think this one we can push over just a little bit. Still have branches near enough that I can hide the page protector. There we go. All right, we're going to commit those changes. And the first thing, I'm going to take this back quote and just hide it for now. We don't need that. And we're going to also hide all of these little holes that we have on this side. So I have just my wreaths and just the quote, and I'm going to save that as, we'll just call it wreath print file. It will be the cut file as well, but we'll call it that for now. I'm going to save it to my desktop in this 2021 Story 8 album or folder, and we're going to save it as a PNG file and hit save. All right, so the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to bring in, I have this journaling card here, from the birthday story kit. I want to mask this into that top wreath for the back. This will be the title, and I'll put some journaling in here. But I want the wreath to act more like a frame than I don't want to print this right onto the same paper. So we're going to make this as a separate entity. But before I cut this out, I want to make sure we have the right size. So I'm just going to bring that journaling card in. We're going to make sure it's underneath the back quote like this. Then I'm just going to resize the card until it fits. That's not too bad. A little bit of it's cut off. Oh, I forgot one thing. I wanted to change the colors. Let's see if we can do it in here. I might have to go back. So first thing I'm going to do is choose a color. So I'm going to take this dark color from the wreath. So I just took my color picker tool and um, just zoomed on a color I wanted and just clicked on that. And then you notice over here, my foreground color has changed. So I'm going to take my Magic Wand tool. I fear that this is going to choose more than I want, but no, seems good. So I'm going to do birthday story and the dot. And then I'm just going to take my bucket fill tool. I don't need to cut this out, so we don't need it to be a smart layer. So you'll notice the color didn't change down here. That's because that line goes through. So just go back to your Magic Wand tool. We're still on add. So I can just click on those, hit the bucket fill, and those are done. And then hit Command D. That looks okay. Let's go see what it looks like in here. And yeah, I think I like that. So just gonna fiddle with it just a little bit here. Mm. I don't mind that it's in up underneath the wreath, so that should be good. And this is fairly centered. So yeah, we'll call that good. And then what I'm gonna do is add a type box right here. We're gonna choose our font. I'm gonna choose Remington Noiseless. I want it to be black. And 11 should be okay. I'm going to leave my leading, and my tracking is at -10. Leading means is the amount of space between like your rows. Tracking is the amount of space between your letters. So if this is 0, and then if I do -10, they're a little closer together. If I do -50, they're going to be really close together. But if you do that, you can fit in more journaling that way. And usually I do have it at -50, so I might actually, we'll do -25. And then your leading, I'll make it really big so you can see. Like this is 18, so there's tons of space in there. Usually your leading and your size, you want it to be the same. So this is like that. But I like to have my sentences, like my lines, just a little closer to one another. It's all personal preference, so it's up to you however you want to do it. But I don't have a lot to say, so we're gonna try this. We'll see. I might have to make it a little smaller. I will do my journaling off camera because I don't have anything written out yet and I'm not exactly sure what I want to say. But at this point, um, we already saved our wreath, and all I'm doing is printing this card out. I will probably print other things with it, but all I will do is get rid of my wreaths like this by just hiding them, and then I'm able to print that card. And obviously, this would be all white, and then I'll be able to just cut it out to whatever size I want. Now, with that said, I could pull this into Silhouette along with the wreath and cut it out in the exact same pattern, which I might do. But I'll show you that if I decide to do that. You'll see that when we flip over to Silhouette. So we're done in Photoshop. We'll see you in the Silhouette software. Okay, welcome to my Silhouette desktop. So the first thing we're going to do is open our files. So I'm just going to go to Open. All right. So this is the front wreath. This is the one we will print. It is in here. And I did decide I will probably print that birthday card. And then because I want to mask it or cut it inside of this shape, I brought in just a single wreath. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is we have to turn on our, you just come to this little page setup box. You want to turn on your registration marks. So this would be your cutting mat settings or your design area, your cutting mat. And you want this one that says registration marks, and you're going to click on on. It'll add this little box and it'll add these little things that just tells the cutting machine where you want it to cut. I think this should all be grouped. Yeah, it is. So I'm just going to move this into the middle. Okay. And then I'm going to go up here first to File and Print. Maybe there it goes. And notice, so when I had it on my design space, it had all those red lines around everything. But when I go to print it, this is what it's going to print. It's not going to print any of those lines, just what you see here. So I'm just going to hit print. Okay, now that it is printed, we're going we're going to take out these words. So if I were to send this right now, it's going to cut out all those little words, which I don't want. It's also going to cut out this middle piece. But on this front one, I don't want that. I want this to just be a solid piece with, because the or the quote is already printed on there. So I'm going to go back to design space. I'm going to go down to the eraser tool right here. That's a fairly good size. You can change the size of your eraser up here. You can also change how it works. I just have it on outline, I think. Yeah. So I'm just gonna click and drag up here, get rid of all of this, like this. That's done. Now that the words are done, I'm now gonna come over here to the offset panel because I had said I want a little white border around this. So I'm gonna come down here to this star right here. And we're going to select our image and we're going to hit offset. Sometimes it takes a sec. So mine's defaulted at 0.025. This is where I normally keep mine at. Sometimes I'll make a little wider of a border, but it just makes a tiny tiny bit of white, which I like. So I think that's fine. Now, those first cut lines, let me see if you can see it in the send panel. So if I come in to cut right now, it's gonna cut two lines. That's not what I want. I want just that outer line. I don't, if we were to cut it right now, it would just give you this thin little piece right there. We don't want that. So we're gonna go back to the design. We're gonna click on the wreath and we're gonna drag that off. Being careful not to touch your offset one. You don't want that to move because that's it's already tied to these registration marks and that's where the silhouette is going to cut it. So we don't want that. And then when you pull that off, there are a few little cut lines, cut things that we need to clean up, but all we have to do is click on them. Oh, sorry. Right now, the compound path is on, so we're just going to click on the image. The bounding box will come up. We're going to go to Object. We're going to release the compound path. So now, as you can see, all those little pieces are also highlighted where you can select each one individually. So we're going to click off because we don't want to get rid of our big pieces. And we're just gonna, you can do them individually. So just click on it and delete. Or if there's a couple together, you can just click and drag. It'll select any of the ones nearby. Or you can click, hit Command. Again, I'm not sure. I guess that doesn't work on here. Never mind. So I'm just going to go around and click on as many as I can and get rid of them. You'll want to zoom in. Like this is a little cluster. There's one here. Oops. So if I click on that and then click and drag, it'll get all of those ones. Theoretically, there it goes. It's another little one. So you're gonna want to zoom in. It's a little tedious, but it's not too bad. Um, I've seen far worse. And some of these little tiny ones, like even if you left them, you're not really necessarily gonna notice the cuts on your final product. It depends on what it is that you're cutting. Get rid of this. And then the other option, um, the cut lines are already here because I brought this in as a PNG, as a smart object. I think that makes the difference because I've had PNGs before that I've brought in and didn't have the cut lines, but don't quote me. I'm not an expert at any of this. But the other option instead of this is, which I didn't do anything, I just brought it in, used the cut lines that are there, is you can do this little trace. It looks like a little butterfly. There's a trace panel where you trace your image, it turns it all yellow, and then it'll make cut lines for you. Um, you'll have to do the same thing. There'll still be lines to clean up. And I did try it on this image already, and there was actually, oops, see, I just deleted my big one, which is not what I want. So I'm just going to hit undo to bring that back. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so I can make sure I'm clicking on what I want and keep going. Yeah, I did the trace on this one already, and it left even more things to clean up. So I decided to just keep it how it was. I'm just gonna go around the wreath to see to see if there's any we missed here. I don't think there's a couple sections that I didn't do. This one, just keep going until it's all cleaned up. All right, I think we got them all, or if not, there shouldn't be too bad. So I'm just gonna zoom back out here. Oh, I think nope. Zoom back out so we can see what we're doing here. So that's the 8. That would be the front side. But if I'm cutting the front side with my words, I don't want to cut out the words, and this will cut out. So I am going to click on this one, and I'm going to delete it for now. All right, so we're all ready to send this silhouette. Just going to hit send. This is what it's going to cut out. I'm cutting on that glossy photo paper, so I just have it set to cardstock plain. That should work just fine. My blade depth is 3, just one pass. It's thin, so it should be fine. My machine is ready, so I'm just gonna click send. Okay, that one is cut. So I'm gonna go back to our design tab. And this time on the back side, I do want to cut out the middle of that wreath. So I'm just going to undo that last edit. I'm zooming in, so it's going to take a couple of times. There we go. So that's back. Now we're cutting the back side of the wreath. So we have this back, and I'm going to click and drag to make sure those are all together, and I'm going to make compound path, and then that way this should all be one. It is, and I'm just going to undo that because I don't want it to move on me. I'll go, though I guess it doesn't matter right now. So I'm going to bring our wreath back in. I'm going to click and drag again, and I can hit this center tool, and it should, if it's not lined up, line it up. Everything looks pretty good. And then this is going to be the back side. So I'm going to select everything, and I'm going to come up here to the object tab right here. We're going to go to mirror, and we're going to flip horizontally. And that will flip our image around. And then next we're going to print it. So again, we're going to go up here to print. My computer's a bit slow today. Hit print, choose our printer, make sure our settings are the same, and hit print. All right, so now our backside is printed. Don't need this wreath anymore. So we're gonna, oops, we're still completely selected here. We do want that turned around, so we're going to turn that again. We're going to click off to deselect everything. We're going to hit the wreath. We're going to move the wreath off. There we go. And then we're going to send this one through the silhouette again. And this time we're going to cut out that back circle. So we're just going to hit send, same settings as last time, and hit send. So here we are at my desktop. To adhere this page or assemble this page, we just have our 2 print and cut files, one with the quote, one without. We've got our journaling cards and our shaker bits. So that bottom portion is going to be a shaker within this pocket page or page protector. I'm going to work on the front first. So I'm just going to line that up. I'm going to put a little adhesive, just a little liquid adhesive. You don't want this to adhere completely yet. I'm just placing it putting it down, working fairly quickly so the glue's not going to dry. It's still going to be wet. Not going to have enough time to actually adhere. And I'm going to sew underneath that bottom portion to make my pocket. So that I'm going to bring out this slick writer. You want something that's not going to smudge on your page protector. So on the front, I'm just going to mark where that wreath is. I'm going fairly close to it, but not touching it. I just want a general idea of where to place my wreath when I come back to the table. And then on the back side, I'm just going to do a circle around the middle of the wreath, leaving an opening at the top. Now, I would suggest leaving a bigger opening at the top. That wasn't quite big enough. It was pretty tight once I got it sewed together, but it worked okay. So here you see I just sewed around the circle, leaving that top part open. I'm going to replace my wreath just to make sure everything lines up and just kind of double checking everything and that you can't see the stitching. And then I'm going to take some temporary adhesive this time and just adhere it to the sides. And again, it's just temporary. It's going to get lifted up again. I'm just going to cut around the outer edge, kind of where I did that line for now. We'll clean it up a bit later from the back side, but this first one, I just go around the edge. Sorry, I'm a bit off camera, but I'm just literally cutting around that bottom circle. And then in the middle, I'm going to go straight across the middle part and leave good inch and a half on the sides so that I have a full page protector on the left side, on the whole side. You can see it from the back there and past that hole. So I just want to be able to have access to that space to get my sequins and whatnot in. So I'm going to pull it back off, bring in my sequins. So I'm bringing out, this is anti-static tool from Tailored Expressions. I just took my little dish and dabbed it down. Any anti-static will work. A lot of these the glitter and sequins and things, they're full of static, and putting them in a page protector, it's even worse. So I just do this. I dab a little bit of the anti-static powder, dab my um, glitter into it. Now you're going to see me put some more in later. So long as there's a little bit in there, it's fine. And you don't see it. At first, it'll look really powdery, but once they move around and shake around in your pocket, you won't see the powder anymore. Just don't put too much. You don't need a ton, just a little bit. It just helps them to move freely without sticking together once they're in the pocket. And some page protectors and some transparencies are a little more prone to static than others. This is an Ali Edwards page protector that I'm using, and I didn't find it very staticky at all. Maybe it's brand new. It's the one that just came in my new December daily album, so maybe it's has something to do with that. Not sure, because other ones I've used in the past have been, you can almost hear the static in them, or maybe it's just the weather. I don't know. So here I'm just, because I didn't leave that hole very big, I'm fiddling with trying to keep it open, and then these bigger stars were a bit too big to just shake in there, so I'm just putting those in individually. And for now, I'm just putting a few in, not knowing for sure how much I would want in there. I wanted it to be able to still shake, but have lots to fill most of the space. So I'm just shaking it around, getting that anti-static powder all through the space. And then now I'm just going to pour what I want in there. So I just made a little mix. I've got some gold and silver in this bottle. I also have a green and a red, and then I think the other one is just green. The one with the red might is, yeah, gold and red, and I think it has white in it as well. Essentially just making a custom shaker mix is what I'm doing with ones I have in my stash. So I'm just going to continue adding these on. Now, when you're working with the page protector, I'm doing this as a flat shaker pocket. There won't be any foam adhesive around. I'm just gluing those two die cuts together, so you don't want in that case to have any sequins or bits that have dimension or that stick up if you want it to stay nice and flat. Um, Otherwise, it will be really bumpy and could theoretically um, wreck your page protector, and then the sequins would fall out. Um, but I think you'd be fine using a little dimension. It would be fine. So I'm just going to finish that up, just putting a few more of those stars in. I kind of like those in there. Just checking each time just to make sure that there's enough to shake in there, but not too full that it's going to just stick. So those are done. I'm going to clean off my desk here and we'll get to the next part. So I've sewn the top part shut. Now I'm just going to trim off my strings. I wouldn't even necessarily have to do that because they could have gotten hidden in behind, but that's okay. When I was done sewing, I did pull the threads through and knot them. And then I will put, when I'm gluing this down, I'll make sure to put just a little bit of adhesive on those spots where the sewing meet, just to make sure it's going to stay secure. You'll see I'm putting a bead of glue completely around where that sewing is. That's where I'm going to start at, and I'm going to adhere that back down. I'm literally just using that liquid glue, the same one. It's the Nuvo glue that we used originally as a temporary adhesive, but this time we're going to let it dry and it will adhere. It won't move later once it's cured. But right now it is not cured. It will lift up. So this is where, now that it's glued down and it's in place where it's going to be, now I'm going to go around and clean up the edges so that you can't see the page protector in behind those little nooks and crannies. But because it's the liquid adhesive and it will still pull up, it allows me to get in there nice and close, but not too close. You don't want to cut into that stitching at all. Um, and then you'll see me, I just push it back down to make sure that it has a good adhesion. And here I'm just cleaning up the sides, making the page protector side a little straighter. Just getting rid of all those little bits. And then I'm just showing you here where I'm going to cut around in the middle. I don't want any of that page protector showing. I'm just making little tabs on the whole side to put into my page protector, or into my album, sorry. The bottom one, I'm going to keep 3 holes. The top one, I'm going to actually get rid of the top hole. I don't really need it. I only need 2 to keep it secure in the album. And it was sticking out just a little too far for me to make it look nice, I guess. So I'm just going to chop it off. And then I left that big space up there. You don't need it. I'm just going to cut straight across here. And then I did keep the rest just to have a nice, good space to adhere so that it's not going to come apart with continued turning of the page over the years. Continuing on gluing her down. And that's the front side done. So next, I'm going to flip it over. And we're just going to adhere the back in the same manner. On the back side, I'm gonna make sure, oh, I forgot, journal card. We're gonna do the journal card first because it's nesting in behind that top one. Now, I chose to use the one I had cut out, like I said. I did do an offset for it, an internal offset this time, um, to make it just a little wider than the wreath, but I didn't get it quite big enough on that bottom right-hand side, and it wasn't lining up very well, so it took me a bit of maneuvering to get it in there. It looks okay. You can't see any gaps, but it's missing just a little bit of the Y in the last word on there is happy, and it's missing just one of those, or missing the Y. It's covered up by the wreath, but it's fine. So I'm just going to go around with, I adhered the journal card down first, and then I'm just going around with my glue press. I'm putting glue on all the white pieces. I'm just kind of following the outline of the wreath and doing one bead of glue as close to the edge as I can without it going to spill over, and then in around close to where I've sewn and in around that journaling card, and then I'm going to put this one on top. The reason I use the liquid adhesive in all of this case is because it does have that longer dry time. So this one's a bit fiddly, like there's a lot of things to match up. So because I've used the liquid glue, I can move things around. I have a bit of time to do that. Not a lot of time. It does adhere fairly quickly. Um, but it does allow me that little bit of extra time. So here I made sure that it was all fitting and nestling in properly, and then I lifted it back up and put the rest of my glue down in the middle space, and then I'm just pushing down to adhere it. And our wreath shaker pocket is finished. I do suggest that you take your wreath shaker, which is what I did, is put it under a heavy book or something overnight, just to make sure that everything adheres properly and that it dries flat. And then it's nice and secure and works out perfectly. And then I'm just going to finish up the layout. I just need to trim my photo. I was going to put some embellishments on here, but I decided I'm just going to leave it how it is. I might come back later and put something on there, but for now, we're just going to punch some holes in it and we'll put it back in the album. Thanks for joining me today. I know this is a bit of a longer video for me. Hope you enjoyed the process videos in both Photoshop Elements and Silhouette. Let me know if you do, and I'll see you in the next one.